Well, good morning. As we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful Tuesday morning, November 7th, year 2023, here with the Hello Hello Show. My name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, it's elections day, and I'm actually going to be have the opportunity to vote after this show. Looking forward to it, and of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and important to mention the likes of you out there and make it your business to enhance and fortify the concept of public access, as it is rightfully so an ingredient sufficient enough to maintain the integrity of that structure that's been held um, for centuries and speaks volume in how we conduct our lives and how we benefit from values and virtues and originality and creativity and art so it's like every time I accomplish a painting, I really actually enjoy the triumphant moment, the victory of something that really had no battle that in order to earn victory. It's engraved in a very unique way onto the surface that it operates on. And here at LTV, it's the epitome. It's the epitome of that aspect, of that outlook, of that view. As we're having a show here every month, of course, and I've been curating this show for over 20 years. This show is unique. It's titled "Growing Pains," growing pains, and we have Justin Greenwald, and very talented, sweet, wonderful artist, showing with us Chris LeCoeur and myself with a new volume of work that actually Chris and myself may manage to curate that aspect, that part of the show in a very creative, impressive way, I should say. I'm very happy with this composition that I put together. I put many in the past, but this one is really something that is unique, spatial, as much as everything else is spatial, but something about it. This coming Saturday, November 11th, from 4 to 6, the opening is here. You can come and meet the artists, and by doing so, also just get to become more acquainted with what LTV stands for, what it's all about. Of course, that to realize the extent of the benefit that this um, concept make available at the disposal of those who express any desire to be involved with something creative is second to none. And in our community, just as much as one can say throughout the communities of the United States of America, that concept thrives and speaks volume when it comes to the creative aspect of that desire, releasing, and it's like a Tai Chi. It's amazing how Tai Chi can be a replica of just about anything and everything we do in life. The pressing, the up and down, and the down and up, and the extending, and the calling. When one calls the chi never disappoints you, and the chi doesn't want to know why. What is the reason that it's been needed or called? It responds instantly, and that's wonderful. So you call the chi and you compress it and you press it and you push it and you anchor it and you make it feel comfortable, and it just goes through all the chakras, and the chakras because they're real, and art because it's real, and the combination is explosive and wonderful. So the concept of public access is the one that will point out, and as it meets the receiving consequence of that pushing forward, and expanding this way or this way. So that's what's taking place here, especially with the Hello Hello show that actually led, spearheaded the whole concept of establishing public access station outlet here in the east end of Long Island. Fraser Dougherty, with a small group of people, initiated it and started it in a non-wavering style and technique way to become what it is today. And what really led him, Fraser Dougherty lived to be 101. He actually died 2 months ago. And I always remember when I reminisce, when I look back, him repeating certain things that sometimes I used to say to myself, why does he feel like he needs to repeat things that he knows that his immediate surrounding, they know about it already? Because if you spend time with Fraser Dougherty, if you spend time with public access, these concepts, these declarations, these statements are very well known, very well established. But for him, it was um, just in case, just in case your emotional immune system um, is compromised for some reason, or just in case, repeating, because all the aspects of erecting a concept like this lies in the small details, in the trivial, supposedly not um, uh, important kind of the margins and all this. But for him, this was the essence of what this concept thrives on, and how it grew as he was accompanying the process itself, because he was the process itself with a small group of people, and then it grew to become what it is that you and I know already here at the East End, and of course as an extension of the entire state of the United States of America. Public access is a well-known, established concept, and it's been practiced throughout. So thank God for that. Um, this particular show, Growing Pains, is going to be on display for the entire month of November, and then I'm actually putting together a surprise show for December. Actually, next show will be on display for 6 weeks for a change, because I want to show a full body of work of Steve Lotion and another surprise artist, which I will tell you all about in the coming few weeks. So we are continuing. And as I said, this particular show, Growing Pains, is on display until the end of November, as we have the opening this coming Saturday, November 11th, from 4 to 6. You're welcome, of course, and we're glad to, and I'm looking forward to that interaction with you guys. So, I don't know. I just, let me see. Who is it that, yeah, maybe he's right. And, oh yeah, just need a little piece of that chocolate. I cannot look at it without biting it. Mm. Mm. Delicious. Wow, it's so delicious. Oh my God. So, Elections Day. um, wonderful. So yeah, the extension of what it is that I actually the one of my recent shows that I shared with you, the the 100 poems that I wrote that was connected to a concept of bumping into a creative reality, and then you find yourself as if you have no choice but to make it as special as it deserves to be. And then you find yourself reciting from an inner voice, like yesterday I heard this, oh, come and reach you, your lovely hand, and the brightness of that shiny skin in between the breakage of sun rays reaching the floors, heating the base of the erected trunk, and then a lively dance on the top, the treetops, and all the danger is hidden behind the happiness of that strength. And so I kept on hearing it, went forever and forever and forever, and I sometimes it just comes, and but I don't necessarily use it in order to write. I kind of more indulge in its existence. That sometimes you, as if this prose is being constantly recited and travels, and and probably coming from the distances that it comes from, when it reaches you, it actually is um, in a place that happens to be perceived by it when it is coming from its origin, so far away. As much as we can say that they're like 100 billion light years away from something, uh, that we are that far away from something, and that's something that's been observed, that we have been observed by that something so far away. We are considered to be so far away from it. I'm trying to learn about the relationship between the two and how I can benefit from it when I stand in front of a canvas and I do my thing. And you know what? Lately, I feel much more comfortable to say, um, uh, from that this process is really that thing that we're talking about is actually not degrading the effect and the vitality and the importance that it carries, that it should and supposed to influence, and like a traveling gift that people can benefit from, and even if it's just accidentally bumping into it, that will change your life, or methodically practiced by you, that it will change your life. But it will change your life. That contact doesn't matter by what form and what shape it took place. It Even when it took place, then you're kind of pleasantly doomed, you know. I always tell people that they don't have to become artists to benefit from the artistic process. You know, as long as they have a space that they can call their own space, they can call it a studio, they can call it whatever they want. They can call it an office, they can call it a basement, they can call it a storage room, they can call it just a corner somewhere with a desk. But I have that. That's important because what it does, it carries you in to learn that actually these this is legitimate. This process and what's happening within the process is legitimate. That means your acts are not being scrutinized or doubted or second guessed or up for discussion. Yeah. That's why I always didn't like to join poetry groups, even though I don't belittle them. My my greatest mentor, Alan Plants, always told me, for me, it works to go to group poetry groups. I have no problems that people will take my poem and try to decipher it and maybe suggest a few things to change, and which sometimes I do. Um, I do accept their criticism and I make some changes and all that. On the other hand, I expressed to him that I cannot handle it. I cannot handle it because maybe because of the style I write, I cannot handle someone putting his hands on something that I was extremely mindful in order to bring to life, to create. And I don't like strangers sharing intimacy with my work from the angle that I'm supposed to come to it and therefore share. There's some kind of should be like an exclusive, and you cannot gain that exclusivity without being coming across as awkward or behaving or performing in an awkward fashion because it is awkward. Like for example, um, people usually, I notice that they will create a miniaturic version of their reality that is outside of their reality. They will be just like a small percentage of who they really are and what they're all about and how they are and why they are and where they are. Just a really condensed, summarized version of that. And not knowing actually that it doesn't matter how small it is, it's very noticeable. And since we live amongst people, you can end up really annoying the hell out of your immediate surrounding without knowing at all that you're actually doing it. And most people would just rather do this than turn around and leave, or turn around and say, "Do you mind?" or something like that. But of course, you know that in our society, when you approach people and say, "Do you mind?" you might end up dead. That's like not out of the question reality. I remember when I first arrived to America, and I found it so insulting almost. And my friends used to warn me, 1983, don't you dare ever find yourself after hours going into Central Park, and for that sake, not even during the day. And if you go during the day, you have to have like ears and eyes everywhere. Unbelievable. So yes, I was not stupid. I didn't kind of take chances, but same token, I felt like, what the heck, man? So much pressure is bestowed on all of us all the time. And this whole idea of this phrase "better safe than sorry" is a sorry statement, is a sorry strategy, philosophy, but we cannot do without. So you you must exercise a lot of caution before you approach someone and say anything, whether it's a crying baby, whether it's a. I remember once I was in a movie theater in the East Village, and I made the mistake to touch the person in front of me that was really sitting like blocking my entire view. So I just touched his shoulder and said, "Do you mind sitting down, whatever it is?" And he turned to me and said, "Don't you ever touch me. You put your hands on me." And I felt like this guy is ready to kill me in 2 seconds, and he wouldn't make anything of it. So from one second to the other, I'm intimidated, scared, confused, and silent. So yeah, okay, well, but if I have a source where I can go to, that means, let's just say that happened, and 2 hours later, I'm actually in my own immune, safe, immediate zone, place of base of creativity. Uh, no one can penetrate, belittle, and compromise, and second guess, and question, and doubt any of it at all, for the main reason that no one is there. It's not like there are people there, there's things there, and I prevail to come across and to end up in such a way. Um, I prevail to get there, but without anyone around, and because there's no one around, and so I take advantage of that. I tell a lot of my friends, get yourself a little space. It's not like you have to decide, I'm going to start painting. Yes, you have to decide, I'm going to start painting, and maybe write some poetry, and maybe it's enough. And then I'll just buy a pen and a pad, which is good enough. You don't even need a computer, so you will force yourself to write, which is creative in its own way. And then you buy those canvases that you can buy a dozen of real canvas, like paper canvas or sheet canvas, whatever. It's right there. Awesome, wonderful, like 16 by 11, with some crayons, with some paint, whatever. You spend $50. You have that little corner of yours, a little storage place of yours, a little tiny place that you make your own room, your own studio. Even if you won't end up painting there all the time, writing there all the time, knowing that you have that place that you feel safe unconditionally, instantly unconditionally, is you cannot wait, you know, uh, you, you, you cannot wish for more. Now, from there, the way you will realize and find out that you handle yourself in such a light fashion and easygoing kind of way is something that you will have to learn how to enjoy, because you'll find out there's a lot to enjoy. You will find that there's a lot to be enjoyed. Um, let's see. Um, so so you have that. And you realize that you really need to prepare yourself to just enjoy and benefit all this wonderful, delicious, happy, uplifting, positive energy, like goodness, like reason and consideration and tolerance and patience, all these things. Suddenly you would realize you need so many emotional and spiritual resources to be compatible with the whole idea and process of enjoying it, that it's not even funny. And then you're automatically humbled because you realize that even the good side of life has a lot of boundaries and responsibilities and demands and you know, it's like anyway. So in that sense, here I just need to do this because I still live in this life where I'm okay. I will do this. Okay, very good. It's just that what's that? Let's see. I don't know about that. Okay, so let me just check another thing. Wait. Okay, sorry about that. Um, half 40. That's good. Lately, I bumped. Well, lately I got to know some really interesting people. Don't know them from from just don't know them, and suddenly, in this life, social media and whatnot, and you know how suddenly you find things out, and suddenly you realize that there's more hope than you ever thought there is out there for the sake of this stability. Even though we can sit here and talk about how bad everything is, and I lived in the 80s where the nuclear aspect of the world is coming to an end every second was looming and was present every second. But so much hope there's there out there. There's so much hope. There's just so much hope. And the tragedy is that people don't leave any room to consider hope and to consider enough hope for the world to be a worthy place. And also forget about worthy, just a place that one can just be one, be be whomever one want to be. Um, and all the cliche aspect of all the declarations will be accepted with love, So live and let live, live and let live, live and let live. I remember that I had early in the process when I start, and I give this analogy because I think it's important, because it's trivial, but important. I remember that in the early 90s, I can't believe that I just started painting only in 1997. Like crazy, crazy, really. So old, so late. And I did some drips, and I arrived to this community in 1983. So I heard about Jackson Pollock. I heard about de Kooning. I heard about the heritage. I can't tell you that I know exactly about their work other than whatever someone in Africa knows about Jackson Pollock. Some lines and drips and stuff. But I never knew, never took a close look, if at all any. And then I start to paint. And when things happen fast, things happen fast. Because when I entered the world of art, it was like, watch out. I am just grazing through, leaving behind ready to go compositions. It's going to be too late for everything and for anything that doesn't move halfway, half as fast. And then at some point, I had to go back and look into the life of Jackson Pollock and de Kooning and the likes of them. I had to. I had no choice. I art grew up like an octopus within me, and it was just taking over fast everything. When without a background, like without a background, some kind of an education, formal education. Not that I really think it's so important, but I learned that it's important enough. But it wasn't there; it was lacking. I had to replenish it and to support that kind of void with something that will keep it stable and balanced, so I can make sure that the journey that for me was a crazy fast journey will not be, the vehicle itself won't be compromised. So I'll be able to be mobilized from point A to point B, and to begin with, not to waste the time that is so crucial for the actual creation itself. And I learned that quickly enough. Lucky for me, really. And I had to go back and check these masters, man. So I remember I I I, I got my hand on this book of images of Jackson Pollock. Don't even ask me how. About 2 dozen of them, and they were just collectively devastating. Instantly, I knew that it was too late for me. That I cannot be a part of this pretending that I can splatter or I can do this and that just because I think I invented it and it belongs to me and I own it. And I really, seriously, genuinely thought and felt like this. I thought and felt like this. You see, and that's the mistake. And why am I sharing it? Because I'm sure I'm gonna bump into some of you like now in the next couple of minutes when I tell you these things. And one of you, it it will click for a couple of you out there. And maybe because of that you'll pick up and do what I suggested for you to do, and you'll be thankful for life. I wish I could have had that when I first started my journey. But anyway, I was doomed instantly, and I realized instantly that I cannot go back to be. And this was 3 to 5 years into my becoming an artist, a painter. I cannot go back to business as usual. That scared me because I didn't know what is going to replace it. I don't even know to replace it, just take its place. Because I know I'm going to abandon all this. Because for me, instantly, it spelled suddenly like fake, like 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 uh, cheating, like abandoning values and virtues and whatnot. And but not before I dived deep, as 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 deep as possible. All the details, all because I felt like I was a veteran. In this span of 3 to 5 years, I gained confidence in a style that did not belong to me, and that I knew that the world cannot accept my attempt to match this. And and of course, because the artist under discussion is dead, so obviously he can he cannot do anymore anything about it, really. He cannot take it one step further. He cannot add layers. He cannot refine the technique. I don't even want to go there. And plus, he would have been feeling very relieved to have people like me that were with conviction and stubbornness to use this style as a way of saying thank you to Jackson Pollock and the likes of him, that they're giving us the tool to use it as a jumping board. So you take all of the material and the full body of work that they have created in their life. If you sit on it as a metaphor, there can be nothing but creating from that point of conclusion, and to take the work of de Kooning and the likes of him and to conclude it and to compress it and to tighten it and to kind of label it and maybe put it aside with no disrespect, but having it there, knowing now is my time. I believe I can. I believe I know. I know I want. I desire. I'm willing to share, to give the time, to put the time. All of the above, all the requirements, you can check. But instead, and I don't know, I think I did wrong, but maybe not. Maybe all the benefits that I'm not aware of now that actually are due to that came due to my decision to. I said to myself, okay, you know what? If only to spare myself from the opinion and the reaction of the public, it's worth it to abandon it. And when I say abandon, I use the word abandon because that's exactly what I did. I let it go completely altogether. I went back to a studio that even Jackson Pollock would have been proud to see. Immediately you notice that this is the world of drip and splatter. Drip and splatter. And I did it in my own way, my own technique, my own counting, my own musical approach. But it still, nevertheless, just as much as people couldn't tell crap from crap about what Jackson Pollock was doing, they would feel the same way about my work, because a drip is a drip and a splatter is a splatter. But obviously, I know, and Jackson Pollock's know, that a splatter is not just a splatter and a drip is not just a drip. There's just much more to it. Jackson Pollock definitely thought that there's a good drip and a bad drip, and you don't just pick up a stick and dip and then you have a painting. Definitely, he didn't think this way. So I abandoned it. Well, of course, that I had to kind of replace the void with many things that I did, styles and attempts and experiments and whatnot. But I always had my eye on the fact that maybe I want to make the gods forget about my existence. So when I come and reintroduce myself to the process again down the road in 10, 15 years, they won't even remember that it was me 15 years back, abandoning ship. So they will welcome me without any extra suspicion. And I will be a legitimate presence in the world of art, in the world of acting, active, prolific, creative artists. And that's exactly what happened. So I felt like I should not even attempt to recapture all the familiar aspects of being involved with it the way I did and the way I felt 15 years earlier. I couldn't recapture that. The knowledge, the technical knowledge itself remained there solidly, but the excitement maybe, or the enthusiasm and the feelings of spatialness, yeah, I lost 50% of it. But I guess I replenished it and and um, and use that space to introduce new ingredients on the behalf of my experiments and and interactions with the surface itself for so many years. So it was okay. It was I had what it took, and what it needed in order to create a balanced composition, and a composition that can rest on its unique balance and unique, Um, so in that sense, it was um, it was a success. But and then again, why am I saying that? Get your own space. If you can get a huge studio because you can afford it and you this, fine, be my guest. Wonderful. If you don't, you just create your own corner with 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 a desk and a small easel, and maybe you can kind of fence it in with some partitions and whatever, as long as you know this is your spot, and express a desire to choose to go whichever direction, and trusting your artistic base just by the virtue of being a human being that God created and gave you that as a given in your life. You don't need to read any manual, you don't need to press any buttons. You are it. So yeah, you need to be cliche and trivial and obvious and predictable sometimes in order to gain access. And then once you gain access, uh, you can just also keep quiet and not say a word because you just get been accepted. Or you can speak 24/7 nonstop. You can do whatever you want. You've been granted access. But that's granting of an access is self-granting. You're granting yourself because you know that when you're ready, if you're ready, how ready are you? How ready are you not? Um, what's the truth, the real truth? What the true nature of that engagement, of that journey, of that process? What is the true aspect of it, of that engagement? Huh? And you will be the only one that can answer and can answer truthfully, which is a great thing because when you lie, when you tell the truth. So the answer, the answer, the answer is easy. The answer is simple. So you 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 lucky you that you would know what's what and what's not, and so you can cut through the bulls. You can, and always remember that when you eventually sit down to do your job, you will not be disappointed, and that's a matter of fact because I tested it myself, not knowing that I was doing that, not knowing that I was testing, not knowing that this is an ongoing test, a test of life, a test of life, and a test of a way of life. So only God knows that nowadays we need to outdo ourselves. It's like, I always had conversations with some people. I mean, many, many years ago, we always fantasized that there's a huge battlefield. And then the governments, they send special units to paratroop musical instruments into the battlefields. Hundreds and hundreds of drum sets and saxophones and pianos and guitars and amplifiers and technicians that put together in different stages in different parts of the battlefields, whole orchestras, and then the paratroop, all the musicians, they're coming down, and all the instructors that go approach the enemy to offering them free lessons of music and art by masters. And at first, just a lot of casualties and all this until even the enemy is succumbing and realizing what the freaking heck is just happening. And 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 even some will find this music appealing and these sites of wonderful compositions appealing. Yeah, well, I mean, of course, it's ridiculous what I'm just describing to you, but it's actually not ridiculous. But I wanted to show you and to prove to you that people can write, that can be written, whatever it is I'm going to read to you, is by anybody, by many, and it is been written by many. I can read you stuff by many, written by many, just like that. And and let me just see. So that's 23, and that was 30. So it was 23, 40. I'm just thinking out loud, 15. Okay. So the I don't even know if it's yeah. Is that it? Yeah. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. So yeah, I was cruising by this ta-dun, ta-dun. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's someone who's writing about when I noticed it was supposedly too late. Once for the demands of long steps vibrating, the other flickers through the dictations of long gone forgotten episodes, that which uncovers the story of our lives. So, and then, finishing with which one is it? This one actually was particular. Oh yeah, this is just like non. Yeah, soul searching. Yeah, I like how people just let go when they write about soul searching, soul made mate, soul mate, trash, under weak layouts. It's one by one, priceless. Sense of green rivers, spooky. I offered to the storm, underground peeking, a stumble of fresh air against a brief encounter with mastery. Live and learn, it was said, placing a rumor, a bit of truth. But I was alone, and with a sudden appearance, I caught my breath. It was a loner. Loaner. A loner. When one was much needed. And on the other line, a simple gesture pleased a needy homeless. It turned out it wasn't a homeless. It was rather the one who owns the building, the entire block. And lucky for you, you kept your mouth shut. Now you get to keep the roof over your head, secured, at least for a while longer. Masters brood with pride in the quiet of the night, till I was all oxygen deprived, and love and care could only salvage the soul and the sensitive aspects of beings, almighty with pleasure and certainty to repeat freeness, blushing with a cool prediction, red, yellow cheek, rebound storm fiction, factful, brisk and soaked, and tryouts, strokes, dimples of disbelief, belly full of suggestive new life, black, atoned, even even if the solution is airtight, calling the soothe It's over the hills, indoors. It's a surprise of thinking bright. Down the slope washed the little treasure, a stash thunder. Without the need to come to terms, it guides finger swirls. Wherewithal prank of nature, a tip notion nesting, and a half-past tapered pinch, and turn to a brief recovery. This is insane writing. I don't know what the heck is going on even. Down the slope washed the little treasure, a stash thunder, without the need to come to terms. It guides finger swirls, wherewithal prank of nature and tip notion nesting, and half-past tapered pinch, and turn to a brief recovery. Some dream at night, some brush through the night, some reveal a tendency to rely on the motored web. In the center of hush and haste flips the coin of registered mentor. Out of the blue appears the soothe, a claim for even treatment. A coil strikes over and over, brightening a dimple shining. I love that. Brightening a dimple shining as if a reflect joins the thunder to brief a soil penetrating glimpse into the inner layers of quiet magic, wing flapping. Taste the loneliness. It's cheap this time around. It's cheap this time of year. Notes from a distance were not noticed. First time around, it's a disabling flush. Not securing self-lending, not spread thin promises. Ever climbing to have a sweet moment on their side? Let me find the presence to pray to the lifting of accountability. Some fitting season, it brings finality to a proper dress code. Some sweep so long comforting dreams. It was a Rome, a valid brine to flush the allergy. I spoke to you today. Your voice carried a tremble. Sweet draft all over. Sweet battle. Swift battle. Blank twists. Drone and hitherto blurs some pick-me-up roar. I cannot even read. Lifting uproar. Time for whisper stroll, insight young drama. Floss dribble all along, soar on guard. Here you are, a woven slam, down counting. Now, over my presence, did not seek the yielding of the proper. You mean a slow down, accurate watch? You mean a slow down, accurate match, heading with heat? It's not the slim adverse of drug plow at a junction of gathering. You did not know a telltale pose and a cover up to the hills, over the hills with a tremble which belonged to the sense of the other grown beneath a graze in the thick bush. You heard the whisper, the second time around, blasting the tears, T-I-E-R-S, the tears, to grow above the initial takeoff. My sense of the here so close to body, motion growth, that which brings the hit of heat and rises swiftly into acceptance. Maybe you, be, are, and his, theirs, mine, to him, our, some. This is a freaking out sentence. Maybe you, be, are, and his, theirs, mine, to him, our, some, SUM. I drive a toasty bargain. What sameness, bleed free trauma? In the green shade 8 ATE, 8 round glowing scrubs. The seam player, SEEM, the seam player. Applause, nearness, soak, browse, haste, and imagine all before the cry together. Bullseye search and ash ground splatter. To you, the loved one from above, sweet reminisce, test, brush, low bush flying pilots, low bush flying pilots from hell, drone from the top of master sessions, bless the cup. It growls and it signs the registry of facial recognition. It searches for the will hunting roan from a plain stream. And the thirst fluctuates and identifies a setup of saturation. Blank listed, brought up in a group of filling up on sugar-driven items. So be blessed to you, the admirable choking frozen statue, and all that follows with reserves of delight, probable, but yet the rolling growth tender with a pulse. It's a righteous and a wrath of a place for a circular rise. As it were, I thought a bridge groomed the blast of bloom. How is it a latch, rim, and so bonded with notoriety? You were the one who raised the soil above the ground, a celebration of pitching a score. Erupted and you prevailed, yet the inflated vibe belonged to a separate precaution trend. Though a blast guided a bricklayer haphazardly, it landed with style. I don't believe I just said that, but it does not matter. The ache cleared the path of pain, striking through the notion of humility. I mean a spiritual one, a man-made cape type of treasure hiding, and hopes shuddering between the tunnels of well-wishers. But the forgot to lay out the outcome of terror accompanying a grim pattern between the rose petals holding on, holding on to the thorns just in case, brought upon the scene of high-stakes requirements. The reachability of stretched arms of a loving world placed a promise for you, especially for you, so you could count in the passageways to calamity before you throw your desire to the pit of no return. I mean, no way back, not straight and not manipulated, not by self and not by a bright-eyed meaning well stranger. At the end of the day, a sliver of light brings the order of nature closer. Mellow by the media. I think he's finishing it here. Mellow by the media of quiet promises you were anchored deep. It's all a matter of suppressed remorse settling squarely, tight fit. I, for a change, drove a hard bargain. It was a singular occurrence. It was a deep sigh in the neighborhood of rough terrains, a sweet recall from scratch as we were allowed to proceed, uninterrupted with an incident a block away from respite, dreamlike. Now it figures a gravity with an established grip, an artistic one, a sequel with a rupture universal, controversial, peaceful in a broken down fashion, brings me the configuration, bring me the space to grab the holding on to firmness. I was flown to many ends and not a clue to flash directions. Last minute, the rollover of tip of an iceberg sprang. No one knew about the shakedown, only flesh measurements, tipsy as they were granted the necessary appeal to gain a favorable gross, enough to greet this probability with a suitable respect, a blink of light, bleak, brought down to its knees, proceeded to bail out the deserved as the world through its human inhabitants deserve a second chance. And that pretty much spells granting desperation with forgiveness. I mean, greeting desperation with forgiveness. And to conclude, sorrow, as it's not your choice or preference, sets the system up to cringe and blow steam. Grammar spells a few probabilities, but not to no avail. Sort, ping, gradually a brought up newborn procures sounds of loving alliances, so close this time. Four-legged animals in the scheme of things kicks the air into submission, but no slowdowns occurs, and not even a surprise utters a sound of any sort, not even for the betterment of a scared and a sacred issue. Now release, resemble, reboot, region, and also recharge, latch, and a pretentious gravedigger. Not a likely mix to speak a laminated language. By stop, yes, before the turn of events takes you by surprise, blacklisted by Mother Nature, I give you credit for now. I grant you a new definition out of which bleak rolls. Dig deep into mystery as your elusive presence lasts, grasps, grasps the notion of slow motion, depression, the image penetrated through the mist you noticed, a support motion making its way into the center of your hideout, brought a slippery gesture blocking a way to express notions. From a minute before calamity, now immersed deeply in clusters, the kind which requires the love of God to be present, the power of angels to be committed, the glory of fairy tales, to be active, the parallel reality to be active, the everlasting squeeze to be accommodating, and you knew that. Lucky for you. You knew there's a way to accept the love through the clearing of a sudden strangulation. It was in the nick of time for which you remained afloat, and I realized your need and I realized your need. I catered to it, and you are back, and we are looking forward to mention this joy, the joy of yours, this joy of yours. And it's like it. I find that people can write. So we're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday, as much as we were here this morning of November 7th, year 2023, here with the Hello Hello Show. My name is Haim Mizrahi. Continuing with the tradition of public access, I hope you voted today. And hey, the process is happening and it's going and it's working and it's fluent. And we're happy for that. Keep up the good spirits. Don't forget, November 11th, Saturday, 4 to 6, we have the grand opening here of the group art show and so much more. We love you. Thank you.